Hey guys, Yummy here again, and today I'm sure all of you guys are aware that now the Battlefield 4 that we are playing currently is Battlefield 4 3.0 basically, because there was the massive spring patch that changed a lot of the aspects of the games, and one of the big things that I wanted to talk about is how amazing they made the RPK now. It's not overpowered because there are a lot of drawbacks to the weapon still, but it is so usable now, I guess would be a good way of saying it, and it's actually a lot of fun to use. It seems like a massive, like, supersized AK-47, which I think it is kind of intended to feel like, and I just want to talk about how it performs and some of the other things in the brand new patch. So basically the main thing that they changed with the RPK is they upped its damage to 30 maximum, which kind of doesn't sound that important because if you think about it, that's still a 4-shot kill. But one thing they did with all the weapons in the game is they lengthened out the time to kill by lowering damage, and then they also increased headshot damage. So you get more rewards for getting headshots, and you'll be able to down your enemies much faster than without them. So now if you get headshots using the RPK, it can be a 2-shot kill potentially in very close quarters, especially if you get those 2 headshots in a row, and that's kind of crazy. I mean, usually it's 30 plus 30 plus 30, which is 90, and then you need 10 more, which is a 4-shot kill. So it's really starting to reward skill a lot more than previously. That's one big thing that I like more about Battlefield 4 than Hardline, is the slower time to kill really rewards having a better skill at the game than people who are brand new or just don't have that capability on console or PC. DICE also switched around how weapon attachments affect your gun in Battlefield 4. So basically barrel attachments and grips kind of do different things than they used to. You kind of have to try them out and see just how different it is. You can't really compare them because the old Battlefield is gone and the new one is here, so you can't really compare it to the old one and see exactly what's different. But they did change how a flash hider actually increases your spread, which it previously did not do. So sometimes, especially in the RPKs, since I find it's better to just run the gun naked, I mean maybe with a red dot sight or something, but as of right now I don't have what I would consider to be a good red dot sight with the RPK, so I much prefer running it naked, and I like the AK's iron sights. I think they're really good, so I was just running that most of the time. But yeah, that is one thing that X Factor actually suggested, was just start using all your guns naked, except for maybe a red dot sight unless you like iron sights, and see how they perform and what you need to change, because most of the time what's different is not the recoil pattern with using grips or different barrel attachments, but actually the spread is affected by them. So if you can manage your recoil, it's much better just to keep them naked, because if you put that barrel attachment on there, it'll increase your spread and it'll be a lot harder to hit ranged targets. So this was definitely the best way I found to run the RPK. I think I also did the heavy barrel a bit, which increases the recoil, and it just made it a lot better at range, I guess, if you tap fire, because it makes it more accurate. So attachments are still pretty much personal preference, but there are some certain attachments that definitely seem more suitable to weapons than others. Like the compensator are very rarely used. Even back in old Battlefield 4, like Battlefield 4 1.0, where a lot of guns had a ton of horizontal recoil, I still didn't use the compensator that much, and I rarely even used the muzzle brake. So I just never really used those anyway, so I'm kind of comfortable with the new patch and how they changed things. You know, you just gotta get used to this slightly different feel of weapons now. And this is certainly true in the RPK, since I remember trying this gun out for a while and it was just really bad. It was so average that you were just getting outshot in every situation. You would get outshot by better long-range weapons at long range, and it had such a slow fire rate you'd be outshot in close quarters by PDWs and fast-firing assault rifles and carbines. There was just no situation in which the RPK excelled. So I'm actually really glad about this patch, and it's very usable now, and it's a little difficult to get kills with it at long range, like especially if you put a magnified scope on it, like 3.4 or 4 times, it can get increasingly difficult to kill people because of the recoil. So even at long range, I like the iron sights, how precise they are, and you don't notice the recoil as much. It makes it a lot easier. But mid-range is definitely this gun's sweet spot. Some other things about the new patch is the PDWs as an entire class got upgraded in damage, and I think that this is amazing. I've always liked the PDWs in Battlefield. Battlefield 3, I didn't use them as much as I did in Battlefield 4, even though they were cross-class. I just didn't feel the need to use them very much. But in Battlefield 4, I really love the niche that PDWs have. Yeah, singling them out to the engineer class might not have been the best decision instead of carbines, but I do like how they feel in the game and how well they do in close and medium combat, especially guns like the PDWR and the MP7 are some of my favorite PDWs. Now that they have a damage buff, it's definitely good to start using them a lot more than before, and especially a lot of the community that never touched PDWs, because there are a good number of people that thought that they were crap, so now they might actually start using it, and we'll see a lot more usage of the PDWs. And they certainly needed a little bit of a buff. Now, they were pretty good before, but there was just something about them that kind of put them at a disadvantage. And now I have to say the P90 is kind of amazing, because it has those 50 rounds, and now that it has a damage buff, it's a pocket LMG. It's insane. There have been considerable improvements in the netcode over the past few patches, and this one even solidified it even further, and it definitely feels really competitive now. It's really solid, the hit registration is dead on, and it feels like a legitimate shooter. And I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the netcode in the past. I was killed around corners every once in a while, but I didn't really notice anything wrong with it until every once in a while when I go back to Battlefield 3 and I get killed around corners so much that I get really irritated, and I realize how much farther this netcode has come. And it's 120 Hz tick rate in Battlefield 4 CTE, which I believe is tied for the highest tick rate ever with Counter-Strike Global Offensive and some private servers. So this game has come a long way, and the spring patch definitely solidified that. So if you guys haven't played Battlefield 4 since the spring patch came out, I definitely recommend doing that, and definitely try out the RPK if you haven't yet, because it's a lot of fun to use. So if you guys like this, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and this is Yummy. Goodbye, and good hunting.